Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is Navanita Adhikari with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting to review the country's security preparedness amid Ukraine conflict, stresses on making India self-reliant in defence sector. Indian embassy in Ukraine to be temporarily relocated to Poland. Second part of budget session of Parliament resumes tomorrow. Swearing-in ceremony of the newly elected members of Manipur Legislative Assembly to be held tomorrow. New members of Goa Assembly to take oath on Tuesday. Congress Working Committee holds meeting to discuss party's massive defeat in assembly elections in 5 states. Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal says India well positioned to become the global leader in yoga and traditional medicine. In sports, 6 Indian boxers clinch gold medal at the Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Jordan. Lakshya Sen to clash with Kunlavut Vitedson in men's singles final of the German Open Badminton in Berlin. And in cricket, India lead by over 400 runs against Sri Lanka in their second innings on day 2 of the Bengaluru Test. As we start the bulletin, we appeal to our listeners to stay safe from COVID-19 by following these 4 simple steps. Get fully vaccinated, wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today chaired the meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security to review the India's security preparedness and the prevailing global scenario in the context of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The Prime Minister was briefed on the latest developments and different aspects of India's security preparedness in the border areas as well as in the maritime and air domain. The Prime Minister was also briefed on the latest developments in Ukraine, including the details of Operation Ganga to evacuate Indian nationals along with some citizens of India's neighbouring countries from Ukraine. Mr. Modi directed that all possible effort should be made to bring back the mortal remains of Naveen Shekharappa, who died in Kharkiv. Sources said Mr. Modi took a detailed overview of the global tech usage in defence sector and India's advances in the same. He also emphasized on integrating latest technology in the country's security apparatus. The Prime Minister reiterated that every effort must be made to make India self-reliant in the defence sector so that it not only strengthens our security but also enhances economic growth. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister Dr. P.K. Mishra, Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba, Defence Secretary Dr. Ajay Kumar and Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla attended the meeting. Ministry of External Affairs today said that the Indian embassy in Ukraine will be temporarily relocated in Poland in view of the rapidly deteriorating security situation in Ukraine, including attacks in the western parts of the country. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said the situation will be reassessed in the light of further developments.
In Ukraine, at least 35 people were killed and 134 injured in a Russian airstrike on a large military training ground near the Polish border today. Regional Governor Maxim Kozycki has said that Russian planes fired about 30 rockets at the Yavoriv International Center for Peacekeeping and Security, adding that some were intercepted before they hit. The 360 square kilometer facility, less than 25 kilometers from the Polish border, is one of Ukraine's biggest and the largest military training center in the western part of the country. The center in Yavoriv appears to be the most westward target struck so far in the 18-day military operation. The facility, also known as the International Peacekeeping and Security Center, has long been used to train Ukrainian military personnel, often with instructors from the United States and other NATO countries. It has also hosted international NATO drills. Russian fighters also fired at the airport in the western city of Ivano-Frankivsk, 250 kilometers from Ukraine's border with Slovakia and Hungary. An attack, the city's mayor said, was intended to sow panic and fear. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today held talks with the Polish President Andrzej Duda and the Prime Minister of Bulgaria, Kirill Petkov, where he discussed the current situation in Ukraine, calling Russia an aggressor committing crimes against the country. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry has said the special operation is targeting Ukrainian military infrastructure only, and the civilian population is not in danger. The West, however, denies these claims by the Russia, and in response, Western nations have imposed comprehensive sanctions on Moscow.
The second part of the budget session of Parliament will begin tomorrow. In the second part of the session, which is scheduled to conclude on the 8th of next month, there will be 19 sittings. The Parliament is also set to return to its normal functioning schedule during the second part of the session. Both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha will sit from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The decision has been taken in the wake of decline in COVID-19 cases in the country. In view of the third wave of the pandemic, the two houses worked in shifts in the first phase. Both the houses will continue to use their chambers and galleries during the second leg of the budget session. This time, the Rajya Sabha will get 19 hours of additional business time over the earlier schedule. The budget session of Parliament resumes after a month-long recess, during which the department-related parliamentary standing committees examine the demands for grants of various ministries and departments. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu is likely to give an account of the working of the 8 standing committees of Rajya Sabha in the House tomorrow. We have more from our correspondent.
Several important bills are likely to be taken up during the second phase of the budget session of Parliament. These include Finance Bill 2022, Competition Amendment Bill, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority Amendment Bill, National Dental Commission Bill, Energy Conservation Amendment Bill 2022. The budget session of Parliament began on 31st January with President Ramnath Kovind address. The first phase of the Parliament session lasted till 11th February and a total of 10 sittings were held during this period. During the first phase, discussion were held on the motion of thanks to the President address and the Union Budget 2022-23. The work productivity of Rajya Sabha was more than 101% during the session, while the productivity of Lok Sabha was recorded 121%. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, New Delhi.
The 9th meeting of the Hindi Salahkar Samiti of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat was held today at the Parliament House Annexe. Speaking on the occasion, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that at present the technology has advanced so much that it is possible to translate from English to many regional languages simultaneously. He also expressed the view that the language of administration should be regional and education should be imparted in the mother tongue. Political activities are at its peak in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa, Manipur and Punjab for the formation of new governments after the announcement of assembly poll results. The BJP has retained power in 4 states, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa and Manipur, while the Aam Aadmi Party has swept the Punjab assembly polls. In Manipur, the newly elected members of the 12th State Legislative Assembly will take oath tomorrow morning at the Assembly Hall. Governor L. Ganeshan dissolved the 11th Manipur Legislative Assembly today. The Manipur Assembly Secretariat has informed all the elected members of the Legislative Assembly to bring their certificates of election with them when they come to attend the swearing-in ceremony. Pro Tem Speaker S. Rajan will administer the oath to new members. Earlier in the day, the Governor administered the oath to Mr. Rajan at the Raj Bhavan in Imphal. BJP leader and former Education Minister S. Rajan won from Lamsang constituency in the recently concluded assembly elections. BJP has won 32 seats and have support of an independent candidate so far in the 60-member assembly. Goa Governor P.A. Sridharan Pillai has convened the State Legislative Assembly on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. for administering the oath to newly elected members of the state. As per the press communique issued by the Raj Bhavan, MLA-elect Ganesh Gaonkar will be administered oath as the pro tem speaker at Raj Bhavan tomorrow by the Governor. Mr. Gaonkar will conduct the oath-taking ceremony for the newly elected members on Tuesday. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant submitted his resignation to the Governor yesterday, paving the way for formation of the new government. The BJP has retained power in the state of Goa after winning 20 seats in the 40-member Goa Assembly. The party also claims to have support of 3 independent candidates. Uttar Pradesh designate Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi today. It is his first visit to the national capital after achieving a massive victory in the recently held assembly polls in the state. Prime Minister Modi congratulated Mr. Adityanath on the historic victory of the BJP in the Uttar Pradesh assembly polls. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said that in the last 5 years, Mr. Adityanath has worked tirelessly to fulfill the aspirations of the people in the state. Mr. Modi expressed confidence that in the years to come, Yogi Adityanath will take the state to greater heights of development. Mr. Adityanath also met Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal, BJP Chief J.P. Nadda and BJP General Secretary Organisation B.L. Santosh in New Delhi during his visit. The BJP won 255 seats in the 403-member assembly, while its two allies Apana Dal Sonelal won 12 seats and Nishad Party secured 6 seats in the assembly polls. National convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, and Punjab Chief Minister-elect Bhagwant Mann, along with several party leaders, visited the Golden Temple in Amritsar today to pay obeisance after the grand victory of the party in the assembly elections. Mr. Mann is set to take oath as the Chief Minister on Wednesday at Khatkar Kala in SBS Nagar district at 12:30 p.m. Mr. Kejriwal said the people of Punjab has elected an honest Chief Minister. He assured that people will get an honest government in Punjab.
The Congress Working Committee today met in New Delhi to discuss party's performance in the recently held assembly elections in 5 states. The meeting was presided over by the Congress interim president Sonia Gandhi. Senior party leaders Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Mallikarjun Kharge, Ambika Soni and Ghulam Nabi Azad were among those who attended the meeting. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting to review country's security preparedness amid Ukraine conflict, stresses on making India self-reliant in defence sector. Indian embassy in Ukraine to be temporarily relocated to Poland. Second part of budget session of Parliament resumes tomorrow. Swearing-in ceremony of newly elected members of Manipur Legislative Assembly to be held tomorrow. New members of Goa Assembly to take oath on Tuesday. Congress Working Committee holds meeting to discuss party's massive defeat in assembly elections in 5 states. Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal says India well positioned to become global leader in yoga and traditional medicine. In sports, 6 Indian boxers clinched gold medal at Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Jordan. Lakshya Sen to clash with Kunlavat in men's singles final of German Open Badminton in Berlin. And in cricket, India lead by over 400 runs against Sri Lanka in their second innings on day 2 of Bengaluru Test. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle, that is AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back. You are tuned to the evening news on All India Radio. Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal has said that India is well positioned to become the global leader in yoga and traditional medicine. The minister was speaking in New Delhi after inaugurating the Yoga Mahotsav 2022. He said the event is aimed to promote the 100 Days Countdown campaign towards International Day of Yoga, which is celebrated on the 21st of June every year.
100 Days Countdown is an important event in observation of International Day of Yoga every year. The event will formally mark the beginning of the journey towards celebration of International Day of Yoga, a journey towards freedom from disease, stress and depression. The basic objective of this event are to give a wider promotion and publicity to various dimensions of yoga, its utility for health, well-being and world peace. Ministry of Ayush, under the aegis of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, is starting a campaign 100 days, 100 cities, 100 organizations by conducting various activities, program, yoga workshop, seminar to sensitize the people about the health benefit of yoga.
Mr. Sonowal said this year the Yoga Mahotsav is being celebrated to give a wider promotion and publicity to various dimensions of Goa and its utility. This year, the International Day of Yoga 2022 campaign will focus on the theme 100 Days, 100 Cities and 100 Organizations till the 21st of June this year across the globe. For the first time, to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it will demonstrate yoga at 75 heritage and iconic cultural sites on the 21st of June. Speaking on this occasion, Chief Minister of Haryana, Manohar Lal, said the state government is in process to establish an Ayush University at Kurukshetra in Haryana in 100-acre area. On the occasion, Chief Minister of Sikkim, Prem Singh Tamang, proposed to establish National Yoga and Meditation Institute near Kritunga Lake in Sikkim. Communications Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw today inaugurated a seminar on 25 years of TRI-Act, the way forward for stakeholders in New Delhi. TRI-Act was enacted in 1997 to regulate the telecommunications sector in India. It also provided for a mechanism of dispute resolution among the stakeholders of the telecom sector. Speaking on the occasion, Ashwini Vaishnaw said that Antyodaya, an inclusive development, is the first and the foremost philosophy behind the decisions and initiatives of the government.
The dominant philosophy is Antyodaya. We believe in this, we practice in this, day in and day out. All the schemes that are made, all the programs and all the initiatives that are taken are basically for the poor, for the inclusive development of poor, for the inclusive development of the marginalized society.
Over 180 crore 13 lakh doses of COVID vaccines have been administered in the country under the nationwide vaccination drive so far. The national recovery rate has improved to 98.71%. The country reported 3,116 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours, and more than 5,000 patients recovered during the same period. China reported over 3,100 daily COVID-19 cases today, double than the previous day, forcing a lockdown on 17 million people in the southern tech hub of Shenzhen and a semi-lockdown in the financial hub of Shanghai. Most of the new local cases came from the northeastern province of Jilin, which logged 2,156 infections. As China is scrambling to address its most severe domestic COVID-19 outbreak in nearly 2 years, soaring new cases forced the country to tweak its zero-COVID policy by allowing rapid antigen tests for public use. Today's surge follows 1,500 new cases yesterday and 1,100 new cases on Friday.
In Mumbai, an exhibition of vintage cars and bikes was held today at the premises of the National Museum of Indian Cinema in the Films Division Complex. The exhibition was organized by the National Museum of Indian Cinema, NMIC, in collaboration with the Vintage and Classic Car Club of India, VCCCI, as part of the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Speaking about the exhibition, Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Neerja Shekhar, said that the exhibition will help in reminding the current generation about the struggles and sacrifice rendered by our earlier generations in securing us the freedom we enjoy today.
It's a beautiful, very well depicted museum where you can see the evolution of cinema right from how the technology has evolved ever since the Lumiere brothers and subsequently how the cinematograph has evolved over a period of time. You will see various technologies and even simple methods of how a cinematograph moves, how a frame is made to move and a moving picture can be depicted, and how cinema evolved.
And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On 13th March 1940, revolutionary freedom fighter Shahid Udham Singh took revenge for the Jallianwala massacre and shot Michael O. Dyer, the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, at the time of massacre.
Udham Singh was only around 19 years old when the whole nation was shocked by the brutal Jallianwala Bagh massacre. He had helped provide relief work to the victims of the massacre. Although determined to take revenge, Udham Singh waited for the right time.
Pagdi sambhal jatta, pagdi sambhal tera, lut gaya maal.
He joined other Indian revolutionaries and visited many countries, the ultimate destination being London. He used several aliases, including Sher Singh and Ram Muhammad Singh Azad. He went to Africa in 1920 and managed to reach America in 1924.
In America, Udham Singh oversaw revolutionary activities, forming close links with the Ghadar party and helping set up the Overseas Indians Association. In 1927, he returned to India with more than 24 aides and a cache of arms, but he was arrested shortly afterwards and sent to 5 years jail under the Arms Act. After his release in October 1931, he kept a low profile for a while, but then resumed underground activities, simultaneously looking at ways to reach Britain. The police kept a constant watch on him.
In 1934, however, he managed to reach London. He stayed in a house in East London and joined a socialist organization that worked for the cause of Indian workers. He bought a revolver and ammunition and waited for the right moment. On 13th of March 1940, a meeting of the Central Asian Society and East India Association was to be held at the Caxton Hall.
One of the speakers was Michael O. Dyer. Singh had found the right moment. He hid his revolver in a book and entered the hall. He stood by the wall. When the meeting ended, Udham Singh walked in the direction of the platform and fired. Michael O. Dyer was killed on the spot and 2 other British officials were injured. Singh had no intention of escaping and was immediately arrested. He was soon convicted and sentenced to death. During the trial, Udham Singh roared,
Michael O. Dyer deserved it. He was the real culprit. He wanted to crush the spirit of my people, so I have crushed him. For 21 years, I have been trying to wreak vengeance. I am happy that I have done the job. I'm not scared of death. I'm dying for my country. I have seen my people starving in India under the British rule. I have protested against this. It was my duty. What greater honor could be bestowed on me than death for the sake of my motherland?
Udham Singh was hanged on 31st July 1940 at Pentonville Prison. We salute the great revolutionary freedom fighter. We also remember freedom fighter Burugula Ramakrishna Rao, who was born on 13th March 1899 at Kalvakurthi, now in Telangana. Rao is known for his struggles against the Nizam in the princely state of Hyderabad.
Rao actively participated in the freedom struggle and took part in the Quit India movement. He joined hands with Swami Ramanand Tirth and many other leaders to fight against the Nizam and played a significant role in the merging of Hyderabad with independent India. In the first state assembly elections held in 1952, he got elected from the Shadnagar constituency and served as the first Chief Minister of Hyderabad state.
Rao served as the first governor of Kerala from 1956 to 1960 and as the governor of Uttar Pradesh till 1962. He continued to work for the betterment of people till his death on 14 September 1967. We salute the great nationalist.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion, as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news. The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with the listeners tomorrow. In boxing, 6 Indian pugilists registered contrasting wins to claim the gold medal at the Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships at Amman in Jordan today, winning the diminutive boxer from Hisar, who was facing Karina Tokube of Kazakhstan in the flyweight 50 kg final, secured 5-0 verdict in her favour. In the 52 kg category, Yakshika registered 4-1 win against Uzbekistan Rakhima Bekniazova, where he notched up a comfortable 5-0 win against Aya Suvideh of Jordan in the 57 kg featherweight final. Defending champion Nikita Chand grabbed the yellow medal again as she dominated her bout against Uldana Tobe of Kazakhstan in 60 kg category. Shrishti Sathe won against Nursulu Sienale of Kazakhstan in 63 kg category. Rudrika blanked Kazakhstan Shuglia Nalibe 5-0 in the 75 kg category. Later tonight, 4 Indian junior boxers, Krish Pal in the 46 kg category, Ravi Saini in 48 kg, Yashwardhan Singh in 60 kg and Rishabh Singh in 60 kg will be in action. With 21 medals in the junior and 18 in youth section, the Indian contingent has secured 39 medals at the prestigious continental tournament, where both the age groups of men and women youth and junior are being played together.
In German Open badminton, Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen will play Thailand's Kunlavut Viditsaran in the men's singles final in Bern tonight. Sen stormed into the final of the tournament, beating world number 1 Victor Axelsen of Denmark 21-13, 12-21, 22-20 last night. Unseeded Viditsaran won his semi-final against 5th seed Lee Zhe-Xia of Malaysia 21-13, 21-12.
In cricket, India have set a victory target of 447 runs before Sri Lanka on day 2 of the second and the final test match of the series at Bengaluru. The hosts declared their second innings at 303 for 9 with a lead of 446 runs. Earlier, the visitors were bundled out for 109 within half an hour of resuming their innings in the day and night test being played at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Sri Lanka had resumed their first innings at the overnight score of 86 for 6. Today, Rishabh Pant registered the fastest 50 in test cricket by an Indian. He scored 50 in 31 balls. With his brisk 50, Pant broke Kapil Dev's 40-year-old record of the fastest Test 50 by an Indian batter. Earlier, Jasprit Bumrah took his first 5-wicket haul on the Indian soil on the first day of the match yesterday. India were all out for 252, with Shreyas Iyer remaining the top scorer with 92 of 98 deliveries. And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have mainly clear sky. The temperature will vary between 16 and 33 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have heat wave. The minimum temperature will be 24 degrees while the maximum is expected to be around 39 degrees. Chennai to have fog and mist in the morning and partly cloudy sky later. Temperature will vary between 23 and 33 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have mainly clear sky. Srinagar and Muzaffarabad will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. Jammu and Gilgit will have mainly clear sky. Leh is likely to have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam will have partly cloudy sky with haze. Bengaluru will have mist. Thiruvananthapuram and Puducherry will have partly cloudy sky. Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl and Gangtok will have mainly clear sky. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting to review the country's security preparedness amid Ukraine conflict, stresses on making India self-reliant in the defence sector. Indian embassy in Ukraine to be temporarily relocated to Poland. Second part of budget session of Parliament resumes tomorrow. Swearing-in ceremony of the newly elected members of Manipur Legislative Assembly to be held tomorrow. New members of Goa Assembly to take oath on Tuesday. Congress Working Committee holds meeting to discuss party's massive defeat in the Assembly elections in 5 states. Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal says India well positioned to become the global leader in yoga and traditional medicine. In sports, 6 Indian boxers clinch gold medal at the Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Jordan. Lakshya Sen clashes with Kunlavut Viti Sarn in men's singles final of the German Open Badminton in Berlin. And in cricket, India set a victory target of 447 runs before Sri Lanka on day 2 of the Bengaluru Test. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.